No one warned me that after 50, that the physical change wasn't going to be the worst of what could happen to me during postmenopause. But it was just realizing how much of myself I had lost in the process. And it happened for a lot of reasons, but it was mainly because I was still taking care of everyone else except for me. I was not taking care of me. I know that I am not the only one. There are many thousands, if not millions, of women that are suffering from postmenopause symptoms or any menopause phase symptoms. I'm not the first. I won't be the last. There are many to come. So I want to share a little trajectory of my journey, my postmenopause journey with all of you. Because one of the first things that I experienced, the initial feelings, besides the actual scientific feelings that I was having, was this mental feeling of being invisible. That I didn't even know who I was in a room. I didn't know how to show up. Because my body was going through so many changes, I had no idea what was happening. I had no idea what I was feeling, what the changes that my body was going through. All of a sudden, I couldn't sleep. I had a tremendous amount of weight gain. The brain fog where I would forget things mid-sentence. The ringing of the ears. I had heart palpitations. I was put on heart monitors because I honestly felt as though I was having a stroke or a heart attack. I had convinced myself that I had had a stroke because everything was in chaos. I felt as though I had no control. And a part of that, when I would show up in social settings, I didn't see anyone else in the room that was talking about their feelings, especially women that were engaging in conversation or even to give me some kind of an idea of, okay, if this is something that you're going through, this is something that I'm going through, it's not a coincidence. I felt invisible because I felt like I was the only one in the room that was feeling what I was feeling, that was thinking the thoughts that I was thinking. I was unrelatable. I had no common ground with anyone in the room, not even my own family. It was lonely. It was lonely and it was scary. You add the feeling of being invisible to losing tremendous amount of confidence. You know, I grew up with skinny privilege. I'm not saying that to be cocky. It's my truth. I never had to worry about weight growing up. And all of a sudden I gained 20 to 25 pounds, what felt like overnight. I went up 2 sizes in clothes. I was the heaviest I had ever been in my entire life, and nothing had changed. Nothing at all had changed. My diet, I was still drinking, but I was drinking the same. None of my habits had changed. Good or bad habits that I had, none of them had changed. So why the weight gain? And with that weight gain came the reality that I was disconnecting with myself. Because getting dressed, the basic skill of getting dressed became a major issue for me. I was frustrated and annoyed and embarrassed. None of my clothes fit me. I remember being able to walk into a store, going to a rack, picking out my size, not having to try it on and come home, and I knew that it would fit like a glove. Those days were over. Because the reality is I didn't even want anything to fit me like a glove. I started to change how I dressed. I began to buy things that were loose and flowy, that did not show any of my weight gain. And in reality, it actually made me look bigger, right? Because that's what flowy clothes does. It actually makes you look bigger. But I didn't care because I didn't want to wear anything form-fitting. Summer and spring were my highest stress seasons because those seasons you wear less clothing. Your body is more exposed. And the last thing that I wanted to do was expose the body that I had not recognized in the mirror. You know, gaining 20, 25 pounds in a matter of a month, the stretch marks, it affected our intimacy, not on my husband's part, but on my part, because I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel like myself. I did not like what I saw in the mirror. And that is a hard truth. I disconnected with myself, which made me disconnect with people around me. I didn't want to be around people. I did not want to go out. I did not want to go out and have dinner. That increased my loneliness. That increased the idea of me being invisible. Then on top of all of that, you add how society perceives women in postmenopause, or how they expect for women to fade quietly in postmenopause. You know, they think that this phase, we have done all that we're supposed to do with our lives, that we have, you know, given birth and we have raised our children, and now we're just expected to fade into the night. And the reality is that women spend a third of their lives in postmenopause. I did not want to be that person. I did not want to be the person that spent the next 30, 40 years of my life in this dreadful mind game. I did not want to be that person. But I didn't know how to get out of it. I had no idea about postmenopause, because to me, the way I grew up, menopause was something that happened when you were 60 and 70, not in your 40s and 50s. How is it that a 48-year-old could be in menopause? And ignorance is bliss, because I wish I knew then what I know now, which is part of my reason for having this channel, is to share and enlighten and bring more truth, more substance to the topic of postmenopause. It is not the end of our lives. It is not for us to fade away and just not exist. We are here, and there are a lot of us here. And I want to thrive in postmenopause. I don't want to wither away. So that's when I started to rebuild. I started to rebuild myself, one thing at a time. I lost my job when I was 48. I had hit a wall. I had hit depression in a way that I was not prepared for. And while that year was hard, 49 was definitely the year that I overhauled everything about me. I took control of my body back. I took control of my mind back. I started to dig deeper and learn more about the symptoms that I was experiencing. I started to ask more questions. I became more knowledgeable about postmenopause, and I challenged my physicians to support me and to help me and to guide me, because what I was feeling was not normal. Or was it? But they just didn't know enough about it. I started with my health and fitness. I stopped smoking cigars. In the process of my depression and in my late 30s, early 40s, I became an alcoholic. It got really bad when I lost my job and I became severely depressed. I relied on the alcohol. But part of my sobriety story, and I know it's not for everyone, and if you suffer from substance abuse or alcohol abuse, I encourage you to reach out to a professional. I am not a medical professional. I'm just sharing my personal story with all of you, because my story is also your story. Maybe not tell for tell, but it is still your story. Women are experiencing postmenopausal symptoms all over the world. And the more we share, the better we are equipped to advocate for ourselves and defend ourselves and protect ourselves from aging too quickly, from being put in a box of just withering away. I don't want that for you. And so I started to work out. I started with a 21-day program and I did not stop. My transformation was alarming and I was so proud of myself. I could not believe how much my body had transformed in those 21 days. And I did that without really overhauling my nutrition. I did focus on eating healthier. I started to drink more water. I gave up alcohol. I stopped smoking cigars. I focused on my sleep and I started to really take care of me. And I liked what I was seeing. As the years progressed, the workouts that I did at 49 were no longer working at 54. My body had gone through more changes. And so I started to incorporate strength training. I started to lift heavy. I started to change the narrative for myself that I had been told that women that lift become bulky and they look like men. I tested that. I wanted to prove to people and to myself that no, lifting weights makes you stronger. Lifting weights is longevity. Lifting weights is endurance. And I'm still sharing that today. And I learned that it's okay to take up space. And I felt good taking up space again. Because the more I learned about postmenopause, the more I learned and educated myself about strength training, the more that I learned and educated myself about proper nutrition during this season of my life, it allowed me to take up space like this, to share with all of you, to take up space at the kitchen table around family and friends and share my knowledge with all of them. Share with them that they are not what they are feeling, that there is hope, that there is a possibility to change, but it requires work. And that is the part to me that I feel I have grown the most in and that I am extremely proud of. More than the physical transformations, I am most proud of the mental transformation that I have been able to take. That I was able to take what could have been doom and gloom, and I have given it light. And in the process, I have made myself lighter physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I have created space and room for more blessings and more abundance and more knowledge. Because I no longer think about the past and what weighed me down and all of that. I have pictures and I have moments because they ground me. They show me how far I have come, but I don't dwell in those. I don't dwell in those moments of my life because they no longer serve me. And after I learned to take up space again, I am no longer apologizing for evolving. I have no shame in showing parts of my body again. I have no shame in flexing my arms and showing my muscle, my definition, and my tone because I have worked so hard for this, because I have invested time and sweat and tears, because I have made sacrifices in social settings, in family gatherings, in gatherings with friends, where they don't have the meals that I know that will help me and heal me and fuel me. So I have adapted and made some changes. I either bring what I like to eat and I can eat, or I eat before I leave, right? These are all little things that I have done, but I'm no longer apologizing for evolving. I am no longer apologizing for eating healthy. I am no longer apologizing or being made to feel small because I no longer want to partake in alcohol. I am proud of that. And I stand firm in that truth. And I smile when I say no, thank you to alcohol. What's funny is the biggest question that I get is why? And my response to them is, why should I? I want you to share with me one benefit that alcohol has. Because part of me educating myself, part of me doing my research and learning about postmenopause is that I know that alcohol does not serve us in this season of our lives. I'm not telling you to stop drinking. I'm not asking you to stop drinking. I'm just asking you to educate yourself, become a little bit more knowledgeable, be your own advocate. Maybe menopause isn't the end of who we were. I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm just beginning. I feel that I am thriving and I am the happiest that I've ever been in my life. Maybe it's the first time that we finally become who we are supposed to be, that we are finally where and who we are supposed to be all along. We are where we need to be. We are who we need to be at this phase of our lives. If this video resonated with you, or if you know of someone that needs to hear it, please share. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more videos where I share encouraging stories of all things post-menopause. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And until the next one, adios.